Okay, this dread video is just going through a few emails that I've got because I figured out how to use the Gmail system. And I'm just going to read out a few questions that I've got from other people. So one of the first questions is from Baker Skater 11JC. He said, "How do you get rid of dandruff?" Dandruff is like one of those things, when your scalp's just getting used to dreads and stuff like that, you will get a lot of dandruff. And it's kind of like, it's hard to say. You can use a lot of essential oils and rosemaries and stuff like that in your shampoos and in your deep cleansers, and that can help lower the amount of dandruff you get. But when it comes to dandruff, it's just washing. So when you're washing, get in between them and just like massage it, kind of, not massage it, but just like get your fingers and just roll them around and stuff like that. And if you notice an area that's really bad with dandruff, so maybe I might have a dread and it's got a lot of dandruff just sitting there, sometimes I can just, when I'm having a shower, just get an old toothbrush and just go like that, and that usually just scrubs nearly all the dandruff out. Now I know they say you shouldn't scrub anything like near your roots, but a toothbrush, just nice and quick, it won't do any damage, and it seems to get rid of it for me, so it does the trick. And that's pretty much all I've got on dandruff. Just really wash the area. If it's still like getting to that point where you've just got a heap of dandruff along your, or in your dreads and stuff like that, just, I don't know, wash a little more often. I don't know, take it easy on the sports and stuff like that. Like, don't get sweaty every night and stuff like that, and get an itchy scalp every night. I don't know, take a break from your sport. I don't know, just wash more regularly. So I got another. Is this recording? Yeah. I got another question. I'll go through. This question was how do you get rid of your loose hair on your dreadlocks? So I've done a lot of those videos on like getting rid of loose hair, but I might just like hash over it. So if you got loose hair on the body of your dread, you don't worry about it. It'll just knot in with time. If it's coming from your scalp and you don't actually have like, it's not actually connected to a dread or anything like that, it's just free hair, what I usually do is I'll just dread ball it. So I'm trying to find a dread ball right now. Here's a dread ball. You might see it there. And it's just getting the amount of hair and just balling it down to the scalp. I have a lot of loose hair, but I don't really worry about it all that much, because I know like with time it will grow into a dread. There's another dread ball that's started to go into a dread. And yeah, so you can do it that way, or you can just leave it, and some people say it'll weave in naturally, but it takes a really long time, and when you're washing your dreads, sometimes it can undo that whole progress that you've made on, or that your dreads have made on trying to weave that hair in. So that's kind of a hard one to say that it'll just happen with time, because usually you need a little more than time just to kickstart it, if you know what I mean. Just tease it a little bit with your fingers or something like that. Oh, that's the way I do my loose hair. You can use crochet hooks and all that other jazz and all that, but I don't know. I stopped using all that kind of stuff. Like, I blunted a few of my tips at about 6 months, I think, and that was about it. Okay. This last question from a different user was, okay, how do you maintain your roots? I get a lot of loops at my roots and find it difficult to keep the dreads looking neat as they grow out. Okay. So that's kind of like when your dreads grow out, sometimes one side of the hair is growing quicker than the other side. So what usually happens is the side that's growing quicker is usually held back, so it starts to form a loop, because it doesn't have that whole, it can't go the whole hole kind of thing. So what people can do to keep their roots maintained, I suppose, is they can do like clockwise rubbing and stuff like that, which, I don't know, I never really brought into that. I never really did that or anything like that. I don't know, I don't find that it really does anything. It's just kind of moving hair around, and I know that's like the whole secret to locking your dreads up, but I don't know, it just doesn't really do it for me. What I tend to do is just to avoid loops, even though I've just got some of the craziest, not the craziest, but I've just got some pretty wild loops happening. Oh, you can't really see it. what I usually do just to avoid it is just when your dreads are wet and you're washing them, or you've got them wet, just give it a palm roll, and that usually does the trick. Just compresses it, and then eventually it will slowly go into that like cylinder shape that you want your dreads to be at. But if you don't want your dreads to be that whole perfect cylinder shape, I don't know, just don't do it. Don't really do anything to them, and then they'll just mat and go all different ways. Yeah, this guy's really annoying me. Tuck him onto the Congo. Oh yeah, the Congo. You can see at the base of this one, he's got a few loops happening. It's just, yeah, doesn't really concern me. So if you want to get rid of loops, just palm roll when they're wet. I reckon that's like the key to it. That's what works for me. Yeah, so I said that there was a last question, but there's actually, I found another question, and that was, what's the difference between free-forming dreads and neglect dreadlocks? So I'll just run over that quickly. Neglect dreadlocks are where you've done nothing to you've done nothing to keep your hair straight or unknotted. So that's like you're still washing and drying, but you're not combing it or anything like that. You haven't back combed it to start a dread or anything like that. It's just leaving your hair to naturally dread itself. And you can get some pretty crazy looking dreads out of that, and you can get some pretty big looking dreads, some thin ones. I usually find I get thinner ones, but that's when I had my hair neglecting and stuff like that. But neglect dreads, yeah, it's just letting your hair to do its own thing. And free-forming dreads, it's different, because free-forming is where you've started the dreadlock, but then you've let it to do its own thing. So that's where I might have a section of hair and I'll back comb it and I won't touch it, and then it'll lock up the way it wants to. It's free-forming into the way it wants to shape. So free-forming isn't like neglecting at the start, if that makes sense. Free-forming, you've already started the dreadlock and then it's left to do its own thing. Neglecting is just nature taking its course, I suppose. But that was the difference between those two.